years, maybe that there'll be no substrate actually left to record these things, so the alien archaeologists will just like find various outlines of monitors and things and say what were these used for.
Yeah.
So Brendan, Sam, it's the AsyncVoter meeting. We were just talking about structuring things that just comes off from the Scrum. I mean, I guess my options going into the new year are either just skip lunch generally, or find out some better way of structuring it so I take more breaks. I don't know.
Yeah, you shouldn't miss lunch.
No,
it's not good.
No, or I think it's important independently of the lunch. I think what's important is that I have some downtime in the middle of the day, rather than what seems to be particularly challenging is the way in which programming problems like today's React one is. It's like it feels like you're it will be just like 30 more seconds and I'll have done it, and then half an hour or an hour later, ironically, then so we went over by about 40 minutes, but then it was like in the 45th minute, having stepped away from the computer and coming back, that we actually fixed a thing and we're now nicely unblocked there. So, but it's the computer problems that I guess a bit like logic problems. Sometimes it seems to require the application of continued concentration in order to actually
it does
progress with them.
Yeah, you do, and the slightest interruption can just set you back so much. Yeah, absolutely
strange stuff. But yeah, so AsyncVoter, we were saying already, you hadn't done any more on it. I don't think I've done anything on it. I don't immediately remember where we are, apart from the big picture of where we're trying to connect the client and the server. And do you recall the thing that you were that you've got plans to do?
Yeah, so last week, if you remember, we set up a new endpoint for development.
Right.
So we had the discussion about testing.
Mocking and things.
That's right. Yeah. So we set up the development endpoint on Azure. And yeah, my intention then is, or my intention now is to really start to write the test for the client. Because there is no real test. Well, there's that little noddy test that you created just to prove that it was working. So so the idea is that we probably need to. Well, there's two things that need to do. Is we need to get some tests working, and at the moment, the failure code within the client needs to be better. At the moment, it just returns a string that says there's a problem. So so they're the two areas I think that need to be. I think once they're done, it's usable.
Right. Yes.
And add the ability to update the base URL. So add that functionality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've got these three repos. We've got the async Slack command, which is still running. People, I think there's not so much voting that went on this week. I need to now compile who did vote and put that into my report for the trustees. We are anticipating the AsyncVoter Slack command using the AsyncVoter API client to talk to the AsyncVoter API, which we have.
So there's some changes we need to make to the API as well.
Are there outstanding changes that need to be made to the API? Have we?
Yeah, because you can't really. I think we need to be able to search by channel. So we added the new channel or source, but at the moment you can't pull back all votes, for example, or all the stories from one channel.
Okay, right.
I think we've probably got a ticket for it, but that needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So we've got So we've created an AsyncVoter API test. Endpoints, and we were. That was the issue that we were discussing last week. Was does it need to be kind of like cleaned and so on? And what was the conclusion that we drew about?
Probably not.
That we're going to run these tests. They're going to submit. They're gone.
Yeah, I think we agreed that because the amount of people who are going to be using it is not going to be a problem. There was the concern that they weren't going to be unique, but then we realized that actually they are going to be unique because it's all based on the ID that is generated by Mongo when it's
right. And so if there was a storage issue of the on this thing, it could then we could just like dump it and restart, and it will slowly move back up again if we're running the tests on it, and so on. Yes, right.
The only thing I have thought about, and it might not be appropriate. So it obviously in our spec you get, when you build your test, that they can run in any order. So one of the things we talked about last week was that as long as you did the create tests first, you've got some values that you can then use to test the other functionality. But if the node test suite does it randomly like Rails does or Ruby does, then we've got the potential that the create ones might not happen first.
Yes, and I mean that's an interesting issue for unit tests versus integration tests. So it could be that the before operator does a create thing for all of the. I mean you're right about one shouldn't be relying upon those things being created, but I think that sounds surmountable in a first pass. Yeah, no, it's all flooding back to me, and so we've got this thing. How now, having created that new endpoint, we need the ability to, as I say, to do that. So I mean, I guess we could kind of like do a little work on this together, but given the lateness of the hour and the closeness of the holiday and the various other things I know that I've got to get cleared up, then I think, and probably you're exhausted as well, maybe this is good to leave until the next time, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only other thing to just think about, or as a sort of wrapping up thought, is what would make the projects more accessible and interesting to other people. I think that there was a point when when we first started this, and we had a Node project, and we wanted a Node project. The Node was quite hot. I don't know if it's quite as hot as it was, and that we had a lot of people involved. I mean, there's been all sorts of
So Nimit was interested, but I've not seen him for a while. What I might do the next time I work on, I might reach out to him to see if he's interested in, adding some features, because we did do a couple of pair programming sessions, but I've not seen him since, unfortunately.
No. Well, and it's interesting. I did set up. I mean, I'm 100% sure that it's working. I did set up now on the channel for AsyncVoter a greeter to greet people. We have had a couple of new people join, and I think actually the greeter bot did greet one of them. I mean, there's a bigger question for Agile Ventures in general, I think, is how we make projects such that they are easy for people to onboard onto. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, I mean, my intuition is that I mean, people are, they have busy lives, lots of things going on. I think, apart from notable exceptions, I think people, they kind of come into Agile Ventures, they're interested, but they are not clear about how to proceed. I think this is true for projects across the board. And
I wonder if it's worth on the GitHub pages, or so if you can get like people who are willing to put themselves forward as contacts for projects. So you've got 2 or 3 people on each project, and their names are available in the repo on Slack, so that people know who to reach out to.
Yes, I think that's a good idea, and we should do more of that. And it's partly this trick of how to get that information. Where does that information need to appear? In order for people to, I mean, we've got this thing in the getting started, which highlights the contact names of the people on all the different projects. We've got things like the greeter now, that's on here, and we can actually see here that somebody, oh, I missed it. Where's it gone? Like here, this Alishan joined here, and we've got the bot set up so that it actually pretends that it's me and mentions my name, and they responded to me and said thank you there. So there's kind of, one might almost argue, well, all of these things that like effective or less effective to figure out. I think we can definitely do, better at signposting to people. This is the person to talk to. I think, and this is strange for me because I'm like, if I want to know something, I am not embarrassed to go and ask about it.
Yeah.
But I get the sense that that's not typical human behavior. That for large swathes of people,
yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit like that at the start, and I think once I know the lay of the land, then I am more comfortable, and I think that's a lot of people are like that. And I think,
and not unreasonably so. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just, it's like, all gone.
So I think if we can get that break that sort of barrier, I think more people will be engaged.
I like the other thing I sort of think about, would it make sense to be slightly more formal in saying, like, yes, like there is if you want to get involved, there's a time window for it. It's like the getting involved meeting will be, we'll run it once every 4 weeks, and if you want to be involved in a kind of a sprint for the project, sign up for this, and you can't just sort of like wander in at any time. I mean, I've always kind of, I hate formality. I love just like getting things done and this or whatever, but I wonder if that would be comforting and supporting for some people if there was a bit more structure.
That might be good for newcomers in that, so it doesn't mean that people only work in that window, but what you could say is that you could have those windows, say once a month, where people who are involved in the project are participating, and that's the point where newcomers should join the project, because they can see what's going on and how it all works and ask questions.
That's right. I mean, and we structure that around. It would be interesting actually to kind of, if one could have a structure where there was like a regular, like, let's say that there was a new members meeting taking place once a month, and that would also correspond to the start of new sprints for several projects. And
then representatives of each project
could come to the new members meeting and say, we've got, and maybe even pitch them. The other thing I was just going to quickly show you is this. So in the web dev mob, we're working through the Odin project, and they have, I'm really liking their model. I don't know if you know anything about the Odin project.
I looked at it a couple of years ago, but it looked different to this, and I wasn't impressed. So I didn't continue. But it looks like they've made changes.
They've improved it, and I think what I'm particularly liking about it, they've done something that I was arguing for a long time that I thought that we should have done with Agile Ventures, is that rather than having our own wiki framework and our own documentation framework, is that we should be pulling things in from GitHub. So interestingly, the Odin project, they have their whole curriculum open source, as it were, on GitHub, all in Markdown, where you can make edits. And I was looking through the code for their Rails app. What they've got is they've got a kind of a job that pulls the data regularly out of the GitHub repo, and then serves it up here. So if you encounter an issue or something that you want to change in here, you can go to the relevant part of the thing here, submit a pull request, and get it in. And I've made several changes already. And then, so that's one thing that I really like. Then they also have basically tracking. So, and it's all done, but you can tick off having got something done.
Yeah.
Like so, and it stores that and everything, and it's nice and neat, and it basically provides a framework to allow people to track where they're up to. And again, this is a hypothesis, I don't know. I imagine a kind of a version like this where it's kind of like you could have this for a particular project where it's like, I've attended a scrum, I've voted on a story, I've so submitted a pull request to I got set up with the project. That all of those, if there was a kind of, even without clever complex stuff trying to automatically work out whether you've done that, whether it just had kind of like a clear step by step, this is what we recommend to do, in the project, and people could sort of like tick off that they'd done it, would be potentially very valuable. I don't know what you think about any of that.
No, I agree. Yeah, I like the idea of having it all in GitHub as well. I don't understand this, but I know that a lot of people they like the idea that they can get like commits and things that show up on their GitHub account.
Yeah.
I guess it's for people who are looking for new jobs. I don't know, but I think the more things that are in Git that are maybe just updating documentation and things, which can which can help people's comfort levels as well.
Yes.
And it means that they get a commit and things, or
yeah.
I think that really helps people get people involved. So yeah,
very much agreed. The interesting thing, what they seem to have with these things is that they've got also like they've got effectively like a structure on top of Markdown, so that, for example, they have like each of their lessons have a standard format, which has got like, and so learning outcomes here, looks a bit boring. It gets formatted in a particular way on the main site. Similarly with assignment and so on. What I was imagining is that conceivably we could have, for Agile Ventures projects, there would be kind of a format to the README that it would kind of have like, like when I was here. Maybe it wouldn't even matter. Maybe it would just be that we would take each of the titles here, and then if you are browsing to the Agile Ventures site, you would have something like this, but it would be like, for this project, which of the things in the README have you done for this project? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, once you'd completed the install, you could tick off in the main site that you'd done that. It would also mean that as you browsed in from, I think we have this big problem that there's like, we have a whole separate system for managing project documentation within here that doesn't get updated, and it's all out of date. And some people, like very explicitly, like SAP projects, their documentation is all in their GitHub repo. But so if instead of that, we basically throw out the documentation in there, have it so that for a given project, and it would be like, get started with this project, and the getting started sequence, we would be pulling out of the documentation on GitHub, but we would be layering over a mechanism for people to kind of check off what they've done, and then that would provide stats for the project folks about, oh look, we've got these 2 new people who've come in and they've done this, and everybody seems to be getting stuck on item 6, which is the deploy to Heroku or configure step, and then that's anyway.
And I guess you could actually have a system in the website where people can either ticket or raise their hand, sort of thing, to say, I've got a problem with this.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course, ironically, like, I think it seems easy to come up with ideas there that might be helpful. I guess it's a question of, one, will
they actually achieve the goal here?
Yeah, and then similarly, it's like there's actually a fair chunk of engineering effort to. Although we've got a full example application that the thing for this, all of this is all open source.
Okay.
I'm not carrying on. So it's like, I was thinking last night, we could even just like fork that and use a version of it, but actually, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, the big thing for me at the moment is it's coding time. The kind of the sweet spot is supposed to be that if I'm doing the face-to-face sessions with people and we're coding on website 1, then potentially a lot gets done. But if, as the balance is at the moment, I'm doing more on other projects, or particularly I'm doing a lot of trial face-to-face sessions for people who are just getting started, then most of that ends up being hand-holding them through C9 install or what have you, rather than powering development forward. So anyway, one step at a time.
No, I think that's a good idea. And yeah, it'd be something I'd be interested to work on as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if we can get that the charity commission, I'm very excited about what we achieved this week with the charity commission thing. Yeah, no, it's yeah. Well, thanks for letting me explain that concept to you there of the thing. I like your idea about of people being able to raise hands and so on. And yeah, it would be. Yeah, I think that the Agile Venture site could be so much more in terms of.
I wonder if it's worth pulling it out on as like an MVP. Have a separate Agile Ventures, so like projects.agileventures.org, that's a separate site, and just maybe just put 1 or 2 projects on there to test the water, as it were. With limited functionality.
Yeah.
And then somehow merge it back into the main site at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also this idea of doing design sprints where we kind of mock up the functionality and try and get users to test it and so on.
Yeah, I was looking at a really good tool recently. It's not free, but then again, it might be free for charities.
Marvel app or Insight?
No, Insight, yeah.
Yeah, no, we used that for a design sprint that we did earlier in the year, actually, before you joined. Yeah, it's not free. You can get most of the functionality for free. You can. I made a version of the Agile Ventures site in that, actually. We could mock up actually a kind of a like that, a getting started walkthrough in there. Yeah, it's it's a nice tool.
Yeah, I played around with it for an iOS app I've been working on. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing that we had about the design sprint is that is then the difficult thing with things that you mock up and then you show to people as a test is that I think that they're biased to say that they like them. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of a social pressure, even when you want to get, oh, I just didn't understand that, or this, or what have you. Yeah, it's good. There's good mock-up tools. I mean, part of me also, I don't know, like I really enjoyed throwing out the Node Whobot Agile bot and replacing it and rewriting it in Ruby, and I feel like I've managed to. It's a big achievement this year is to get the you remember when we had the switchover, right, between it used to post the full links to the Slack, and it now has like click to join and click to play, and I think now we're in a better place there. I think that looks
absolutely
better and more manageable. So I mean, part of there's so much legacy craft in this. I mean, you say like creating a little, a projects thing. I'd quite happily throw out, all the legacy code and start over. Although there is a lot of functionality in the site, so it's no trivial massive task. But a lot of that we actually need. Anyway, yeah.
Having a new project like that might get more people interested as well.
Yeah, it's true actually. Starting from scratch rather than of course the I have this fear of like you start the new thing and then you sort of build all the stuff and then it doesn't. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, great talking to you, Brent. I guess have a fantastic Christmas, and if I don't, we'll have a fantastic New Year, and look forward to collaborating with you in 2018.
Yep, absolutely. Have a good one.
All right, fantastic. Bye for now. Take care, Brent.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.